got into kind of an odd job, and it's the kind of job that I run into from time to time, and it's about neighbors that don't like neighbors' trees. There's a lot of cultures as well, and I don't want to sound like I'm prejudiced towards anybody, but the Asian and the Indian cultures seem to have either a fear of big trees, or their need to grow plants that feed them is all that's important to them. So I run into yards all the time where Asian neighbors on one side and Asian neighbors on the other side, they kind of fight over shade and trees coming over their property, and it becomes really difficult. So the woman next door just came out, and she told me, she says, "Are you working on my side?" In a thick Asian accent. She couldn't speak English really, really well, so it was difficult for me to communicate with her. I was trying to tell her I'm going to do what's right for the tree, and all she could say to me was, you'll cut back my side, you cut it back, and her side has already been obliterated, creating this huge imbalance of one side being so much heavier than the other. Well, I'll show you what we're dealing with, but it's really hard because I try to teach proper tree care and show people what's right for their trees, but all they can see is, it's a mess, or I'm not getting enough sun, or, too many leaves in my gutters. They see the negatives. And educating people about the positives of living with trees is really hard when they're so narrow-minded.
Well, as always, I always start out with a base inspection, looking for any problems that might be something that makes me on high alert. Cavities, basal crown rot, insects, fungus, all kinds of things. So I'm looking up in the tree, and this live oak, it's a Quercus agrifolia. I talk about that tree quite often. We have an abundance of this type of oak tree in our area. Well, this tree has been butchered for so many years, both by the neighbor and by PG&E and by this family. So it's a very one-sided, very unbalanced mess. Okay, I showed you this because I took a lot of brush out of this tree. We had to get it off the roof. We had to get it back. There was all these must-dos. We must get it away from the wires. We must raise it up so that trucks don't hit it. And here's some examples of the sort of stuff that I'm finding up in the tree. Somebody up there in the past, some idiot with a chainsaw, wreaked havoc on the tree. I mean, it's a mess. Everywhere you look, there's bad cuts, there's stubs, there's big stub branches. And these people, they called me because they asked me, they said, we want to find somebody that can make our tree look good, and they want somebody that's going to do what's right for the tree. So it doesn't always work that way. And a lot of times I'm not very happy with the end result. This is a tree that was a basket case. I'm doing the best I possibly can. I cleaned it out quite nicely. A lot of crossovers, a lot of big dead branches. I didn't fine-tune this tree, but we did everything that was required by the client. The client said, I need it up off the roof. So we took so much off the roof, and they still weren't happy. They wanted it all the way back to the rain gutter, and I just said, I'm not going to do that. There's an example of what the neighbors did. Maybe that's why they think that it's okay to do that to an oak tree. That's two oak trees side by side, and what a disaster. Power company, that's another problem. We've got a wire that goes through the tree that we had to clear that was actually rubbing on the branches, and it's a secondary, but it's an uninsulated wire, so that means that the tree is potentially hot. And in the backyard of the same job, they had this enormous redwood tree, which was probably about 50, maybe 60 years old, well over 100 feet tall. And the job here was based upon the neighbor's fear of this tree. The neighbor was afraid that the tree was going to fall down and hit their house. So they want us to go up there and make it so the wind blows through it. More on that in another video, but so we did do some weight reduction. We did take out a lot of the crossovers. We did open it up. And, there's that neighbor's oak. Anyway, long story short, some of these branches were sticking way, way out too far. And so it did make sense to bring them back in. We opened it up enough so that the people felt better about it. But is it making it safer? I don't think so. Not really. You know, in a big storm, when the ground is saturated and we get those weird winds, the best of trees can go down. Jorge's going to take this one cut here. Let's see. There we go. We had a bunch of lemon trees underneath it we had to watch out for. Came very close. But, aesthetically, the tree does look better. Was what we did to this tree necessary? I don't think so. But we did take out a lot of weight out of the tree, and we did open it up. Now, there's a tree off in the distance. That's actually a red cedar, as well as a couple of other redwood trees. And you see different variations on what a redwood looks like, as well as a red cedar. The red cedar, somebody got up there and stripped out every other branch or so. And that's the theory that allow the wind to blow through it. That's not a bad redwood on the right there. This one has multiple tops, which is another issue. If the wind blows, those tops can possibly break out. And we had a lot of redwood brush that came out of the tree. I always like to take pictures of the brush, because if the people contest what we did, they'll say, it doesn't look like you did very much. Then I can show them a picture of the brush. I can say, we took out all this brush. They did want the chips, which was kind of odd, because believe it or not, they asked me if I could dump it on the other side of this 3-foot wall. All in all, this was not a fun job. It should have been. But the people that we were working for were so unappreciative. They did not thank us. They did not say good job. And it was like, they just looked at the work that we did, and they left me feeling rather empty. I just don't have time for clients like this. So all I have to say to people like that is, no soup for you. Seinfeld. Get it? Okay, you got it.